some message. Okay. So I've done quite a lot of work here, but it's just code that you don't have to remember. All of this you can forget. You copy paste it from an example. This you have to remember because this is where you will be writing your own code, right? So let's go. Now what I have to do is I have to just change the application, the configuration. Say, now I want you to actually talk to the application to dispatch any URL. Since I have changed the configuration, I have to restart my server. So I kill the existing one and I restart it. And let's see if it's working. I will be quite surprised if it works from the first step. Let me reload. Oh, I have an error. So you're going to see live things. Okay.
I see. You have forgotten to inherit from the app engine your index out there.
Thank you. This is some magical code. Let me go back and reload. I still have the problem. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to get the solution ready. And you'll see me actually working. We have the solution. Okay, here I am. Let me just reload the code and now restart the application. And this time this should work. Sorry, this URL go. And now it works. Okay. So it was probably, oh yeah, it was a typo. I misspelled the name when I was doing it. Okay. So this was the second step. I have an application, I have a structure ready. Now what I want to do is I want to do a page that is a little bit nicer than just a single page showing some text. So the next things I'm going to introduce is known as templates, right? So let's move to that. Okay, so the way we do templates is by just changing Sorry? Okay, I'm not sure you're talking to me. I'm sorry, I don't understand Arabic. I don't know French and English. And a little bit of Sweden. Alright, so the only thing I'll be doing now is actually changing the way I output something on my web page. So I'm going to just hide this because we don't need to see it. Okay? And instead of actually doing a print statement, I want to use something a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to make my content be a string. Okay. And print that content. And this content, I want to generate it from a template. And to do so, I'm going to call a function that renders a template. Okay? This function needs to be included. And it is included. Okay, I have a function, and what it tells is that it should read the contents from some file and then render it. So let me just add this file, and that's .html. And let's... Oh, it looks like I don't have no sounds. I have sounds, okay. So let's save everything. Let's save everything. And let's move back to the browser and reload. Looks like I have some problem. It doesn't seem to be working. Let me fix this. The content is this. What would be the error?
Have you included your file?
Yeah, once again I'm going to get the solution ready. What you see me using is actually, okay, I know, that's the problem. So the problem, it's hard for me to explain all the details at the same time. The problem is I have a problem with my text editor. Sorry for that. Give me 1 second, and I'll be back with you. Oops. Here it is. For some reason, I don't know why I'm having multiple files in my directory. My application is stuck. So back to here. Okay. So let me. Oops. All right. So here's where I was. I'm rendering a template from a file, and to this template I can pass some values, and the template is here. The template is just some HTML code with some special marks, with some special markers in there, here. And these markers are actually a way for me to inject some values from the Python code into the template. And the way I do that is by just creating a dictionary of values. So for the value title, I will say this. For the value towns, I would say Caro and Anna. And now the benefit of templates is that I can write the code as if it was HTML, but inside I can embed some code. It's very similar to PHP. If you use PHP, you're used to that. Except that here I'm not using PHP, I'm using a template language known as Django. You could actually use the one you want. I'm using Django because Django is bundled with the Google App Engine, so it's straightforward to use. And it's very simple to read. Here it says, use the value of title, or use the default value if you don't have one. And here it says, for every town, in the list of towns, I'll put the value. Okay? So if I save this, restart my application, and now reload my page, then I will indeed see my concepts. Right? So I have the structure now, I am ready to work, because I have my configuration file, my application code where I can generate anything, and my template where I can put some HTML and some logic code. Okay? So now, the next thing I need to do, if I want to make a complex application, is go from this very simple setup where I have one configuration, one application, and one template. I must organize this a little bit, because if I want to serve, let's say, 10 different pages, I can't have all of them in the same directory. It is a bad practice. So I'm going to switch to a layout right now, and I'll show you that. So once again, you'll see me live doing this on the terminal. And by the way, what I use is known as a versioning program, a source version control. You might be used to SVN or JIT. I am using JIT because it is very powerful. And this allows me to switch directly to the solution. So let's see. So I have changed a little bit the code. Now I don't know if you see on the side, so I'm just going to open and I'm just going to browse through the file so that you see it. It looks like my computer, alright, doesn't like having Skype and broadcasting the screen at the same time. So here it is. So it's exactly the same application than before. I have my configuration file. I have my application. The only things I've changed instead is that the code for handling the different URL is now put into a separate directory and in a separate file. So if I look at the index, this is where I put my code, right? You see the template rendering. And the templates, they are in a directory. So it's just simply organizing things a little bit. What I have done too is I have created another one so I can show two different pages. So I show the benefits of organizing things clearly. And the last thing that I have done is in my templates. In my template, what I want to put is I want to put the code related to the page I am currently rendering. But if I have 10 pages, they all must have the same look and feel. They must have the same structure, let's say with the title, with the body, with the header and the footer. And I don't want to copy paste this in every file because it is bad practice to duplicate the code. So I'm using the power of templates to say that my page is based on some common page where I have a structure, and I'm just extending it. So let's have a look at this. The main page is a template like this, so it's like my other templates, except that I use this special command to say there is a block. Now in my page, what I need to do is I simply need to say I'm extending the base template, and I'm changing the block named content with that content. Okay? So let's check that our application is still working. Indeed, now I can serve my page where I show where my friends are, and I can also show another page. Oops, sorry. That's not what I want to show. And I can show another URL, and it shows it. So I have two pages, and these two pages share the same structure, which means that if I edit something here only once, this is typed only once. Now if I go and refresh my page, it will be here, and it will be in the other page too. So I have factored the code, so I can change things only once, like let's change the style or the layout, and it will be used in any of my pages. I think it's time for us to make a little break soon. Before we do the break, I just want to make a last step. So really, you might be scared at that point by the number of things that you see. Once again, you don't have to remember everything now. The important thing is that when you will be downloading the solution tonight or tomorrow, you can start your own project. Every line that you see will bring a memory in your head. Oh yes, I remember it did this because of that. Okay? So that's the principle of a tutorial. You're not supposed to understand everything right now, but you'll have things to remember when you work with the code again next time. So, I have my application ready, but it's pure HTML. Now what I want to add is a little bit more of style. So I want to have style sheets, so I want to have CSS files. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some files, some CSS files. Let me switch to that, again with my magical command. Here it is. Okay, I'm getting the solution. Alright, so what has changed? I changed the template, adding some more information, so a title, because it is good practice. I added a link to a style sheet, which is in a directory, and the style sheet is here. It contains some magical stuff. Okay? And I've also put a little bit of structure, so a header because it's nice, a menu for navigating, and I still have my content block, and I have used a footer with a copyright because it's also good practice to say who is doing the page or who is serving the page. So how is it going to work? Let me just restart the server, and before that I want to make some small change. Here it is. Okay, so let me restart the server, and let me go to the page again and reload. And indeed,